Well, Stop and Frisk back in court today. The lawyer for the men who filed the civil suit, which began in federal court today, claims that the controversial policing tactic used by the NYPD is applied disproportionately to minorities. Few really debate the numbers. The lawsuit, which has now attained class action status, it seeks a court-appointed monitor to oversee changes in the way the police make stops. In the courtroom and overflow rooms, they were all packed today. The trial expected to last more than a month. Mayor and police commissioners say Stop and Frisk, a life-saving tool that's helped cut down crime in New York City. Trial, it will include testimony from a dozen black and Hispanic men who say they were targeted all because of the color of their skin. Lawyers also plan to play hours of audio tapes made by an officer who was hauled off to a psych ward after he said he refused to meet quotas. Now, Judge Shira Scheindlin, who has in earlier ruling expressed concern about the practice, is not being asked to ban it altogether since it's been found to be legal. But she does have the power to order the reforms to how the tactic is used. Andrew, this significant here for the timing and also because of the judge. She's said very clearly she doesn't see how this can be a justifiable practice given the inequity on how it's applied.
Well, that would certainly seem to indicate, you know, that she would favor monitoring for the NYPD or at least cracking down on the program. But obviously, it's going to be in the forefront of the political dialogue of the city this year. It's a mayoral election year, and I would not expect to see the result. I mean, I would expect to see the results of this trial all over the race for mayor in the coming months.
Dominic, let me be devil's advocate. You and I agree on this, but I'll take the counter position. Crime's down, okay? And while it's, even if you believe the numbers that well over 80% of the people stopped are people of black or Latino descent, right? And 90% of them are released right after it's done. If it cuts down crime and it helps make more dangerous neighborhoods more secure, no harm, no foul.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this right. Make sure I'm understanding the point here.
Sarcasm.
Crime is down, so black people have no rights. I mean, crime is down. We got to keep crime down. Now, I will say, before you start, or anybody else starts, I will say one of the things I talked about in church yesterday, I really believe this, that if Dr. King were alive today, he would be fighting injustice. He would be fighting in Florida for Trayvon Martin. But then I really believe, Richard, in closed doors with the black community, people like yourselves and others, he would say, what's going on with babies making babies? What's going on with these young men wearing their jeans halfway down their ankles? I really believe Dr. King would say, and more importantly, what's going on with black-on-black crime? Black men are killing each other doing the job of the Ku Klux Klan. But going back to your original point, that you can't, the ends can't justify the means. You just can't say, well, crime is down, and we assume that the black men have all the guns, so we have to throw all the black men up on the wall. That's what it comes down to. That's what it really comes down to.
The racial component is real and has to be factored in, and it's good legal strategy to say so, and it's good social policy to make sure that we don't discriminate against people because of the way they look. But wait a minute.
But wait, how does you know
You're
Mayor
telling me that you
Bloomberg
could
and
do
you
this for
also
white
know?
guys?
No.
See, I didn't say that part.
No, but
Yeah.
now imagine I wanted to.
No, imagine it was my kid. We have an attorney there, you know.
No, that's not my point. My point, I can imagine fine. My point is, if it's bad and even worse in some ways when it's black and Latino folks, it's not acceptable when you do it to white people. If the cops in the United States of America, under our Constitution, there are rules. Those rules have been fought for and fought about for
but
centuries.
here's my question, smart
Apply
guy.
them to everybody.
Mayor Bloomberg and also Ray Kelly, nobody accused either one of them being dummies, and no one also accused either one of them as being completely insensitive to people to say. Why would those two guys stand for
Richard,
years?
Why questions are unprofitable. I don't know why people do things. I know what they do. Here's the deal. We have tried to strike a balance between the needs of public safety and the rights of police to handle people. When we see it happen in the old Soviet Union or in other countries where they've had totalitarian regimes, we throw up our hands in horror. This is the way the world ends, not with a bang but a whimper, when these things slowly erode and turn into stuff that doesn't look like the United States. This is bad policy. There are better ways to police. There are better ways to keep crime down, and New York City and others should find it.
Bloomberg and Kelly are operating from a why chance it perspective. Why chance that if we disrupt this policy, that we might actually get to a different outcome when it comes to the crime rate. It's the same thing with President Obama with some of the treatment of some of the people at Gitmo. You may want to give them rights that other prisoners have in other situations, but why take the chance?
Give them rights?
Well, they're supposed to
Let's
have
not
rights.
get
We're
into
taking it away from that. No, but all of the other techniques that the executive will go through in a bit of a power grab that might not be the constitutional lawyer his preference, but if it keeps people safe, if it prevents attacks,
Guilty.
why fight
Guilty.
it?
I believe in the
fight it?
Constitution. I apologize. I'm sorry. The Constitution says cops and the government can't do some
I'm
things.
just saying
Where's
that
the
executives in both
when
these
the
cases
liberty
are trying not to
of
rock
this
the
group
boat
of
and get a
people
different outcome.
is
That's all I'm
handled?
saying.
Growl.
I'm all for stop and frisk. Crime is down, crime is down. That, to me, is what the mayor is supposed to do to keep us all safe. And you have to be colorblind in a situation like this.
Okay,
It
now
has
here's the
nothing
question.
to do with race.
And here's the question. I
or,
appreciate you. I appreciate you saying what some people feel but won't say out loud. You're walking home to your apartment. The cops tell you, put your hands up against the wall and spread them. And you say, why? And they say, just do it. Are you going to say, no harm, no foul, and walk in your apartment when it's done? You know and I know. You're going to get on the phone with the captain. You're going to go down to the office and say, I want this guy. How dare he, me walking from my apartment to my office or whatever, that I'm being made to spread him just because the guy feels like it.
You understand there's people they stop have not done anything.
90% of them are
understand
released
that.
immediately.
That the cops just walk up and say, you, up against the wall. What kind of America is that?
Are you saying that they discriminate deliberately? That
Yes.
the police
They're not-
deliberately look for black and Hispanic
Yes,
guys?
I'm saying that.
Why?
I haven't any idea about why
they
questions.
feel, and I don't know if it's true, but
Well, you just said
because they feel that it's the blacks and the Latinos committing all the crime.
Let's be clear.
Well, now,
It's not. They're
what
not
do you
stopping.
feel?
No, we can
you
say.
just made a big speech about
You just
black
walked into a
guys.
trap.
No, I didn't walk into the trap. This is the setup. I didn't
No,
walk
but
into the trap.
No. You just said the horrors of black on black
Right,
crime.
but that doesn't give a law enforcement officer, and Richard, Brother Richard, you're being nice. They don't talk that way. The first time I encountered Stop and Frisk, I was 16 years old, or 15. They don't talk that way. They rarely pull out, if they're plain clothes, they rarely pull out their badge. You're ordered up on the wall. They don't tell you why, and I can't speak for all officers.
And the plainclothes guys do it. You know how I know that? Because my 20-year-old white, 5'2" 100-pound daughter was walking down Washington Square Park, and two plainclothes guys walked up to her and said, up against the wall. She said, "Who are you?" And they kicked her legs out from under her.
That's exactly what happened. They tell you up on the wall, and if you don't do it immediately, that's exactly what happens. They
kick
swipe
the
their
legs out
leg,
from
and you're going down to the ground. And then they identify themselves as NYPD, and at that point, they will tell you you're going to jail because you made them work.
My only thing is, it's depending on the zip code, they'll go in and they won't. And I feel the cops are getting the short end of the stick because they got to meet the quotas, which is the biggest problem. And they'll complain about it and they'll say, I got to make my numbers, or they're going to make me, do some of the worst kind of beats that you're going to imagine. I think at the end, though, this is a moot point. Don't we think, Dominic Andrew, that there is not one mayoral candidate here who has supported this policy right now?
Certainly not on the Democratic side. If a Democrat wins, but they're torn because I respect the fact you said what you said, because a majority of New Yorkers, particularly white, feel exactly the way that you do. But I would like to see, no offense, I'd like to see your son thrown up on the wall, because I got to teach my son that you better not disrespect an officer. If he tells you to do anything, you better do it. Don't talk back.
Justice
because
is
my son, no offense, my son might get a bullet in the back. Now that sounds dramatic, but that's the truth.
Justice is an individual commodity. Statistics showing whatever they are about Latino and black youth, they are what they are, and no one should back away from that.
All right, you're gonna
but
like
justice
this
is
next one here.
individual.
So let's get to the break. When we come back, J.P. Morgan in the hot seat. A Senate hearing on J.P. Morgan Chase's multi-billion-dollar trading loss. It showed that there was, anybody who thinks that everybody learned the lessons back in 2008 here ought to think again here. What did we learn from the hearings, and just how bad could things be all over again? We'll get into that after this.